press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Hello students, in the previous chapter we have studied that in living organisms cells are the basic unit. Okay, these cells performs all the basic functions, maybe digestion, locomotion, respiration, etc. All these body functions are performed by cells. In unicellular organisms, a single cell performs all the body functions, but whereas in multicellular organisms, maybe humans or animals, we are made up of millions and millions of cells. Okay, we have different groups of cells to perform specific functions. Okay, in our body we have specific cells or specific group of cells which performs only one function. For example, we have stomach cells which are meant only for digestion. Okay, we have muscle cells which are meant only for locomotion. Likewise, there are many groups of cells which performs a specific functions. Since they have only one function to perform, they work in more efficient way. Okay, so this group of cells which performs our body functions, that is a particular function. Okay, this group of cells is called tissue. Okay, so group of cells. A group of cells which work together to perform a specific function. So this group of cell is called tissue. Okay, so in this chapter we are going to study about these tissues in detail, their characteristics, where exactly these tissues are present, their functions and everything. Okay, so let us start a new chapter, that is study of tissues. Okay, tissues example maybe blood, or for example in plants xylem and phloem. This blood is made up of only similar type of cells. Okay, this is made up of RBC, WBC, platelets, etc. So there is a group of cells which form the specific functions, that is the blood transfers or nutrients from one body part to the another. Okay, that is a function of this blood. So this is a tissue. This is a group of cell which performs a specific functions, that is transport of nutrients. The same way, xylem is a group of cells which conducts water, which provides water from roots to all the different parts of the plant. The same way, phloem is a tissue which provides food from leaves to different parts of the plant. Likewise, there is a similar cells. Okay, similar cells, they form a group. Okay, they form a group and they perform a specific function. That group of cells are we called as tissues. Clear? So tissues are the group of cells which work together to perform a specific function. The term tissue was coined by the scientist Bichat. Okay, Bichat is the scientist who coined the term tissue, and this study of tissues, okay, this study of tissues is called histology. This is a Greek word. Okay, histo means tissue. In Greek word, histo means tissue and logy means study. So study of tissues is called histology, and the term tissue was coined by the scientist Bichat. Okay. Now let us see what is the importance of tissue. So why are they present? what exactly they do in our body. Importance of tissues. Due to the presence of tissues, there is a division of labor. Okay, like I said earlier, different cells perform different work. The work, that is any of the body functions, is divided between the cells. Okay, the stomach cells perform only digestion, skin cells are meant for sensation, okay, and muscle cells for locomotion, nerve cells for sending messages from all the different parts of the body to the brain. Okay, so likewise there are so many group of cells and there is a division of work. Okay, these cells will perform this work only, like that. There is a division of labor due to the presence of this tissue. Okay, and we know the basic unit is cells. Okay, the basic unit of life is cells, and these cells form tissue. Group of similar cells form tissues, and this tissue in turn form an organ. Okay, and these organs, okay, different organs work as a system, that is called organ system, and further they form a body, living organism. Okay, for example, to see, we should have like two organs, brain and eye. They work together. They form a system in the function of vision. Okay, so these, for example, eye and brain are organs, work in a system, so they are called an organ system. So this is how a living body works. And then this tissue, okay, since it forms the organ, these tissues protects organs from injury. Okay, these tissues are the protective layers for the organs, protects the organ from being injured. Okay, so the next more important point is it provides nutrition. For example, blood is a tissue. Okay, what is the function of blood? Blood carries nutrients from one part of the body to the other. It flows in our body, okay, carrying the nutrients. So it provides nutrition. These even tissues fight against pathogens. Okay, the presence of tissues. These tissues makes bacteria. Okay, if bacteria and virus enters our body, these tissues fight against disease-causing microorganisms. Also, these tissues gives the body rigidity and flexibility. Okay, clear? The plant body is strong to withstand all the adverse conditions. It is due to the presence of a tissue. Okay, and even it is flexible, it bends. For example, the climbers and the tendrils, they bend. It is due to the presence of tissue. So, tissues are very important in living organisms. So, these are the importance of tissue. They, due to the presence of tissue, there is a division of labor. Cells forms, a group of cells form tissue, and these tissues protects organ from being injured. And this, for example, blood, these tissues provides nutrition. Even they fight against the disease-causing microorganisms. Okay, clear? And even they provide rigidity and flexibility to the living body. This is about the importance of tissue. Okay, so now we know every living body is made up of cells. These cells in turn form tissues. Okay, now the question is the living organisms, that is plants, animals, bacteria, fungi, etc. these living organisms, are these plants and animals made up of same tissue? No. The answer is no, of course not. Plants are way different from animals, isn't it? We can see the noticeable changes. Plants are stationary. Okay, they are fixed at one place. They do not move like us. They do not move like animals from one place to another place in search of food or in search of shelter for any reason. Okay, but whereas animals, we are not stationary. We move from one place to another. Okay, for food or for shelter or for any cause, isn't it? So this is one of the, and moreover, these plants are autotrophic and we animals are heterotrophic. Okay, these are the major difference because of which the tissues present in plants are way different than that of animals. So let us study about these tissues in detail. So let's study about the plant tissues. So what are the plant tissues, types of plant tissues and where they are present? The first type is meristematic tissue. Okay, the very first type is meristematic tissue and the next is permanent. The term meristem, okay, this means it is meant for growth. Okay, these tissues, meristematic tissues, are meant for growth. Okay, it keep on dividing. These keep on dividing and after a point they achieve a definite shape and size. Okay, they keep on dividing, there is a cell division happening here and after a point they achieve a specific shape and size. Okay, and they remain permanent. After dividing, these meristematic tissues turns out to be permanent tissue. Okay, and in meristematic tissue again there are three types: apical meristem, okay, lateral meristem and intercalary meristem. Okay, there are majorly three types of meristematic tissue, and in permanent tissue there are two types: simple and complex. Okay, in permanent tissue there are two types: simple and complex permanent tissues. In simple, okay, as the name says, it's very simple. Okay, there is no much specialization in these tissues. These simple tissues are made up of only one type of cells. Okay, the simple tissues are made up of only one type of cells, whereas in complex tissue they are made up of more than one type of cell. And again in simple tissue we have parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. So this is the major classification in simple tissue. And in complex tissues we have xylem and phloem. Okay, so this is about the classification of plant tissue. There are basically two types: meristematic and permanent. In meristematic tissue we have three types: apical, lateral and intercalary meristems, whereas in permanent we have two major types: simple and complex. In simple we have parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma tissues, and in complex tissues we have xylem and phloem. Let us study these tissues one by one in detail. First let us see what are these meristematic tissues and where these are present. As I stated earlier, meristematic means they are dividing. They are present at the early stages of the plant growth. Okay, meristematic are the dividing tissues. What are these? These tissues are meant for cell division. Okay, that is the reason they are called dividing tissue. Since they keep on dividing, they are responsible for the growth of the plant. Okay, hence it is also called growth tissue. Clear? Meristematic, in meristematic tissue, this meristematic is meant for cell division. Okay, the cells keep on dividing. This is called dividing tissue, which in turn are responsible for the growth of the plant body. Hence, it is called growth tissue. Okay. Now, let us see the characteristics of this meristematic tissue. As I said, these cells keep on dividing. Okay, so after a point they attain a definite shape, size and function. So that's how they turn into permanent tissue. Let us see the characters of this meristematic tissue. Since these are very dividing, okay, these are very active. Since there is cell division, as the cells of this meristematic tissue keeps on dividing, they are very active in nature. Okay, and the cytoplasm present in this cell is very dense. It has thin cell wall. The cell wall present in this meristematic tissue is thin. Okay, and structure of this meristematic tissue. Something. It is polygonal, okay, or spherical. It has nucleus in between. Also, cytoplasm. Okay, this is the structure of meristematic tissue. It has nucleus, cell wall, and also cytoplasm. Okay, and here no intercellular spaces. Okay, there are no intercellular spaces. What does intercellular means? Intercellular means between cells. Okay, if this is one cell and this is another, this is the space between the cells. Okay, this is called intercellular space. Intra means within. Okay, this is intracellular space, the space within the cell. Intra means within. Okay, intercellular means between the cells. Okay, this is intercellular space. These cells are compactly arranged. Okay, you cannot see any space between the cells. Okay, can you see? No, isn't it? So these are compactly arranged, hence there is no intercellular space. Also, and the most important point you have to remember is these cells lack vacuoles. Okay, there are no vacuoles present in this meristematic tissue. And the question is why? Why? Because we have studied like vacuoles acquire the major central portion of the cell. Okay, they are meant for storage. When these vacuoles are meant for storage only, but this meristematic tissue has nothing to do with storage. They are meant only for division and growth. Okay, they don't have to store any food. Okay, but whereas vacuole stores the food, so there is no need of the vacuole in meristematic tissue, and this vacuole provides rigidity and turgidity to the cell. We have seen in the last chapter, these vacuoles provides rigidity and turgidity to the cell. Rigidity, is it visible? Okay, these vacuoles provides rigidity and turgidity to the cell. Okay. Rigidity means what? The cell or the vacuole provides the strength to the plant, and also turgidity means this when the cell gets swollen up. Okay, the plant cells after uptake of the water, they do not burst out because these vacuoles intake the water, they swell up. Okay, so this provides rigidity and turgidity. This character of vacuole makes difficult for the cell division. Okay, this is an hindrance, that is, it makes cell division difficult. Okay, and hence since these meristematic tissues are meant only for cell division and growth, so presence of vacuole makes it difficult. Hence there are no vacuoles present in meristematic tissue. Because vacuole is meant for storage, meristematic tissue has nothing to do with the storage, and the same goes with it provides rigidity and turgidity, which makes the meristematic tissue difficult for cell division. Okay, clear? So this is about meristematic tissue. So let us see the location. So where exactly this is meristematic tissue is present. That is the structure of meristematic tissue with nucleus, cell wall and cytoplasm. Okay, so let us see the location. Okay, where this meristematic tissue is present. Okay, if this is the tip, okay, if this is a plant, okay, this is the tip, this is what I have drawn here. Okay, and not only in the stem region, okay, this meristematic is also present in the root region. Okay, plant does not only growth does not occur only in the stem, isn't it? Even the root grows. Even the root penetrates deep into soil. There is also growth in the roots. So even here, okay, in the tips of these roots, this meristematic tissue is present. Okay, even at this tip, the meristematic tissue is present. Even at the sidewise, okay. Even here the meristematic tissue is present, also here. So this is where meristematic tissue is located. The tip, okay, the tip region where meristematic tissue is observed are what we call apical meristematic tissue. Okay, this is responsible for the longitudinal growth. Okay, plant grows straight or a plant goes upwards. It is due to the presence of apical meristem. Okay, plant does not grow only straight. Okay, it does not only grow in the length. It also gets thickens as it grows. Okay, even the growth takes place here also. Okay, the plants gets thicken or there is an increase in diameter or girth of the plant. This is because of the meristematic tissue is also present at the lateral sides of a plant. Okay, that is why we call it as a lateral meristem. Okay, and this, okay, the remaining one is intercalary. This is intercalary meristem. Okay, this is present at the nodes. Okay, from the nodes where leaves develop. Okay, the leaves or the branches develop, here the intercalary meristem is present. Here there are three types of meristematic tissues: apical meristem, lateral meristem and intercalary meristem. Okay, the meristematic tissue is responsible for the growth. The plant does not only grow in length or longitudinal ways, it also thickens as it grows. So these lateral tissues are responsible for its increase in diameter or increase in girth. Apical meristems are responsible for its longitudinal growth, and intercalary meristem are responsible are present at the nodes where the leaves project. Okay, and also this apical meristem are present both in stem and root. Okay, present at both the regions, both the tips, even at the tip of stem, also at the tip of root. Okay, that is it. When the apical meristem is present at the stem, we call it as shoot apex, and when it is present at the tip of the root, we call it as root apex. Okay, and these lateral meristems are also called cambium. Another name for this lateral meristem is, it is also called cambium. Okay, and these lateral meristems are present beneath the bark. Okay, if this is a tree or plant, if this is the bark, lateral meristems are present here, isn't it? responsible for the sideways growth of this plant. Okay, even here lateral meristems are present. It is nothing but the bark of a tree. Okay, these are present beneath the bark. Okay, the lateral meristems present beneath the bark are called cork cambium. Cambium is nothing but lateral meristem. Okay, the lateral meristem present beneath the bark are called cork cambium. Lateral meristems are also present at the vascular bundles. So what are the vascular bundles? Nothing but xylem and phloem. Okay, those are the conducting tissues where even lateral meristems are present. So the lateral meristem present at the vascular bundle is called vascular cambium. Clear? Cambium is nothing but lateral meristem. Those lateral meristem present beneath the bark are called cork cambium, and which are present in the vascular bundles are called vascular cambium. And these intercalary meristems are responsible for the increase in length of leaves. Okay, these are responsible for the increase in length of leaves at the nodes. Okay, if this is a plant, okay, here at nodes this intercalary meristem is present, which is responsible for the growth of leaves to increase the length of this leaf. So this is about the meristematic tissue. And do note down the points while I am explaining on the board. Whatever points are right on the board, please take it down and make short notes of your own, so it will be easy for you to study. Okay, now let us see the functions of this meristematic. We have already known many. It is responsible for growth. Since it is dividing, it is responsible for the growth of the plant. Okay, also since it is responsible for the cell division, there is formation of new cells. Okay, new cells are formed because of meristematic tissue. Okay, and this acts as a parent tissue. Okay, which tissue in plants acts as parent tissue? That is meristematic tissue, because this tissue gives rise to the next new cells. Okay, it gives rise to the new cells, hence it is called parent tissue. And if any injury happens to these plants, since this meristematic is responsible for the cell division, if the cell divides, the injury gets healed. So the meristematic is nothing but related to growth and cell division only. Okay, this cell division produces new cells, responsible for the new cells, and since these new cells are formed by this meristematic only, it is called parent tissue. And this cell division is responsible for the healing of the any injury. If to the plant, if any injury happens, so this meristematic tissue heals it. Okay, and this produces new leaves, flowers, fruits, etc. Roots also. Okay, not only at the stem part, it even responsible for the growth of the root. Okay, so this is functions of the meristematic tissue. The growth by apical meristem. Okay, the growth by this apical meristem is called primary growth. primary growth is nothing but elongation of stem and root. Clear? Apical meristem is responsible for stem and root growth, isn't it? So that is the term what we use, primary growth is responsible for apical meristem, and the growth by lateral meristematic tissue is called secondary growth. That is increase in girth and diameter or thickness of a plant body. That is what we call secondary growth. This is elongation of stem and roots also. Okay, the growth of stem and root is what we call primary growth. Okay, and when the plant increases in its diameter and girth or thickness, okay, this is primary growth and this is secondary growth. So this is all about meristematic tissues. Okay, so these meristematic cells keep on dividing to form new cells. Okay, after dividing, what happens to these cells? These cells forms permanent tissues. Okay, it's not like the whole life they'll be dividing, isn't it? At a point they stop dividing. They lose their ability to divide, and they gets a permanent shape, size, and they do a permanent function. So that is what we call permanent tissue. Okay, the process of taking up this meristematic tissue, what they do, they keep on dividing, and after a point they lose ability to divide. Okay, so after losing the ability to divide, they stop their growth. Okay, they attain a permanent size, shape, and they perform a specific function. So that process is called differentiation. Process of taking up a permanent shape, size, and function. This is called differentiation. Okay, do note down the points. Okay, so the meristematic tissues differentiates to form permanent tissue. That process of attaining a permanent shape, size, and function is called differentiation. Clear? And there are two types: simple and complex permanent tissue. Okay, so let's study the simple permanent tissue. These cells are very simple. That means they are made up of only one type of cell. Okay, clear? These simple permanent tissues are made up of only one type of cell, and there are again major three types: parenchyma, pollenchyma, and sclerenchyma. So let us first study about parenchyma. This is how parenchymatous cells are present. Okay, as you can see, it is having thin cell wall. And these are living cells. Okay, these parenchymatous cells have thin cell wall, and these are living cells having protoplasm. And as you can see, since these cell walls are so thin, there's too much of, what is this space called? intercellular space, isn't it? So there is too much of intercellular spaces between the cell. Okay, more intercellular space is present in parenchymatous cells. Clear? Also these are the living tissues, cells I mean. Okay, as you can see, these are loosely arranged, not compact like other tissues. These are very loosely arranged, giving rise to more intercellular spaces. Okay, and these are present everywhere, even the stems, roots, fruits, flowers, etc. These parenchymatous cells are present all around the plant. Okay, these are the characteristics of parenchyma. Let us see what function it does. Okay. Let us see the functions of parenchymatous cells. This parenchymatous cell acts as a packing tissue. So why is it called a packing tissue? Why? Because if there are two tissues present, okay, maybe any tissue, if these are some of the other tissues, in between of these cells there is a gap. Okay, so here parenchymatous cells are present which packs these tissues, okay, to give firmness to the plant body. These parenchymatous cells act as a packing tissue. Okay, in between the tissues, if there is a gap present, the gap is filled by this parenchymatous tissue to give plant the strength and firmness, to provide a perfect shape to the plants. This acts as a packing tissue. And the major function of this is food storage. Do you remember parenchyma is meant for storage of food. Okay, parenchyma is meant for storage. Okay, remember the term storage. This parenchymatous tissue is food storage tissue. Okay, so in hydrophytes, that is the aquatic plants. Okay, you might have seen on the surface of ponds or lake there are plants floating on the surface, isn't it? So why don't they get submerged inside the water? Why do they float? It is because these parenchymatous cells have pores. Okay, these have pores and this provides the buoyancy to the plants. Buoyancy to the aquatic plants. That is a character for which they can float on the water. They do not get submerged because of this porous parenchymatous cells. These cells, the parenchyma cells, which has pores on them, which provides buoyancy, that is, provides the character by which the plants can float on the surface of water, are called aerenchyma. Okay. The parenchymatous cells which are responsible for the plants, which can the aquatic plants can float on the surface of water. It is due to the presence of aerenchyma. Aerenchyma is nothing but parenchymatous cells having pores in them. Okay, the same way. the chloroplast is present in some of these parenchymatous cells. Okay, in some of these parenchymatous cells, chloroplast is present. So when chloroplast comes, soon you have to remember the term photosynthesis. Okay, chloroplast is responsible for photosynthesis. When these parenchyma cells have chloroplast in them, which performs the photosynthesis of the plant, these are called chlorenchyma. Okay, so remember the terms. In aquatic plants, the parenchymatous cells are called aerenchyma, and the parenchymatous cells which have chloroplast in them, which are responsible for the photosynthesis in plants, that is called chlorenchyma. Chlorine, presence of chloroplast. Okay, and in xerophytes, xerophytes means plants present in desert region. Okay, desert plants. These parenchyma act as water storage tissue. Okay. Here, this is also commonly it works as a food storage tissue, but mainly also in xerophytes. In desert plants, there is less available water for them, so whatever water it takes, it stores the water. The water gets stored in parenchymatous cells or parenchyma tissue. So this is about parenchyma. Now let us see the next cell or tissue, that is collenchyma. So these are the simple permanent tissue. Next is collenchyma. Don't get confused with chlorenchyma. Okay, chlorenchyma are parenchymatous cell which has chloroplast, that is chlorenchyma. This is collenchyma. Okay, as parenchymatous cells, even these are the living cells. Okay, even these collenchyma cells are the living cells. So these chlorenchyma cells are not that loosely arranged. Okay, parenchymatous cells were so loosely arranged, there were so many intercellular spaces, but this the cell wall of these collenchyma cells is kind of thicker than parenchyma. Okay, hence here the intercellular space is less compared to parenchyma cells, isn't it? Only here. Okay. Only small spaces are left. Okay, less intercellular spaces. Intra means within, intercellular means between the cells. Okay, don't get confused. Less intercellular spaces due to presence of cellulose in the cell wall of this tissue. Okay, in collenchyma what happens? There is presence of cellulose in the cell wall, which makes the cell wall thicker than that of the parenchyma. Hence, if the cell wall gets thicker, thus less spaces are maintained between the cell. Okay, and the main function of this collenchyma is it provides flexibility to the plant. Okay, for example, climbers. Okay, the stem of the climbers or tendrils are very smooth, they are very flexible. Okay, this is because of the presence of collenchyma in them. Hence it provides mechanical support to the plant body. Okay, this collenchyma provides the mechanical support to the plant body. Hence this collenchyma is called mechanical tissue. Okay, what was parenchyma called? Packing tissue or storage tissue. This collenchyma is called mechanical tissue as it helps in the flexibility and also provides mechanical support to the plant body. Clear? This is about collenchyma. Like parenchyma, even this collenchyma are living cells. But the difference is the cell wall is thicker than that of parenchyma due to the presence of cellulose in the cell wall. Okay? And it provides flexibility, hence important in the mechanical support of the plant. Now let us study the third tissue, that is sclerenchyma. Okay. Sclerenchyma. These are the dead tissues. Okay. These are the dead group of cells. Okay. But whereas parenchyma and collenchyma were living cells, but this sclerenchyma is dead cell. Okay. This dead cell provides hard and stiff nature to the plant. Okay. You might have seen the husk of coconut. Okay, the fiber. If this is a coconut inside, okay, on the outer surface there is a husk which you remove usually, the brown color husk. Okay, this fiber is too hard and too strong, isn't it? That is nothing but because of the sclerenchyma, that is the dead cells present there. Okay. This provides the hard and stiff nature to the plant. That is, for example, husk of coconut. The cell wall of this sclerenchyma has lignin present in them. Okay, the cell wall has lignin, which makes the surface of this cell wall very thick. Okay, due to the presence of lignin, here the cell wall is very thick or lignified, due to which, okay, inside only less space is present. Okay. This is lignified sclerenchyma and very compactly arranged. Okay, there are no intercellular spaces at all. The lumen, okay, inside this, the lumen present inside here is too small, okay, very narrow because of the presence of lignin in the cell wall. Okay, it is very compactly arranged. It is very compactly arranged with no intercellular spaces. There is no spaces in between the cell, isn't it? It is because of the lignin present in them. Okay, clear? So this is about sclerenchyma. So let me draw a structure of stem, the cross section of stem. Okay, if this is the stem, okay, if you cut it cross, if this is, if you cut it cross, with this surface of stem looks something like this, what I'll draw now. This is a cross section of stem looks like. Okay. Okay, this is the cross section of a stem, and the longitudinal section looks something like this. These are the trichomes. Okay. Is it visible? Yes. This is the longitudinal section of stem. Okay, if this is the stem, if you cut it lengthwise, okay, vertical section or longitudinal section. Okay, again here everywhere all these cells are present. Okay, do refer textbook for the diagram. Okay. So this is a cross section and this is the longitudinal section of the stem. Okay, this is epidermal. Okay, here epidermal cells are present. What is this? Epidermal cells. Okay, and this is collenchyma cells. Collenchyma here, the very after this epidermal collenchyma cells are present, and here these are, there is a differentiation between these cells. Okay, here more intracellular spaces are present, these are somewhat compactly arranged. Okay, this is parenchymatous cells, and these, okay, what you are seeing, these are the vascular bundles. Okay, this and this is the phloem. Okay, this structure here, this part is the phloem. Okay, this is the phloem, and here this is the xylem. Okay, these structures is the xylem. Together they are nothing but the vascular bundles. Okay, this is the section of stem. Clear? These are the epidermal cells. Okay, collenchyma, parenchyma, phloem and xylem. Okay, so this is how a stem looks when section of stem is taken out. Okay, so this was all about today's class. We have seen so far about what are tissues, its functions, their characters, its importance. Okay, and now we know the tissues in plants differ to that of the animals. Okay, in plants there are majorly two types, meristematic and permanent. In meristematic are the dividing and responsible for the growth. Okay, and in meristematic cells there are basically three types: apical, lateral and intercalary. And in the permanent there are two types: simple and complex permanent tissues. Okay, and in simple again there are parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. Okay, we have studied till sclerenchyma in this class. In the next class we will study about complex permanent tissue, that is xylem and phloem. Okay, thank you.